So a lot of people say they're looking for community in their life. Perhaps their extended family doesn't really provide them with the community that they would like, or they want a more diverse community in some way. And it seems like it's almost impossible. I'll include in the description a link to some communities that exist, or directories of communities that exist. And if you look through those, like for example ic.org is a very common one, where you can make a profile even of what you want, and you can also look at what communities exist and the descriptions of them, and you can even search for the sort that you would want. You'll find that there's a lot of communities that are not functional, and that's because they're difficult to set up. Oftentimes people want to share resources or values, and it becomes extremely tricky to figure all that out. Perhaps they want to own things in common, which will create conflict between them. You figure even a couple can't own land or children together without conflict in many cases. Many couples split up where they're very unhappy. So co-owning is an extremely difficult problem. And so here's the easy way to do it instead. And I mean, some people set up like co-housing, where they live in their own homes, don't necessarily share an extensive set of values, but they own it in common. I think the easiest way is to just buy near each other, to identify which values you care about in neighbors. And it could be anything, it can be completely arbitrary, but some values you share, and you just buy real estate near each other. It doesn't even have to be next door, but you could identify a neighborhood in a city, or you can identify a town and decide, okay, we're all going to move to this town. There's been several efforts like that. Some of them are maybe not the best, like Scientology has bought a lot of land in Clearwater, Florida, but you know, that may work for them. It's controversial because they're kind of a weird group, but there's also efforts like the Free State Project, which is, I believe, a bunch of people said, well, if we can pick a state, we will all move to the same place because we all have like freedom-oriented values. And I think they picked New Hampshire, which is pretty cold, so that wouldn't really work for me, and I'm kind of a West Coast kind of guy, but their goal was to actually buy and then influence legislation in that location. So that could also be controversial. There was the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, later renamed to Osho. They moved to Antelope, Oregon, and they had a big ranch there with a bunch of people. Very successful cult for a while, but they messed up a little bit, and they got blamed on one of the women. I forget her name, Sheila, something like that. Started with an S, I think. But, you know, they wanted to take over the local government, and they actually became in conflict with the local town then of Antelope, Oregon, and they ended up allegedly putting salmonella in a restaurant's salad bar, which I've heard is like the biggest bioterrorism attack in the United States, but it wasn't a very big one. And they of course became pretty unpopular. I think there was issues of tax evasion, and Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh left the country, and Rajneesh Puram fell apart. There is currently an Osho meditation center somewhere in India. Is it Pune, India? I don't know, I forget. But people can still go to that, and they wear robes and stuff, and you know, they do ecstatic dance and all that. But I think that you could all move to a similar area and not have the kind of conflicts that entails. You know, you don't have to buy up everything. You don't have to control everything. You could just have really great neighbors, and then you can share childcare. You could have homeschool programs where you buy some of the homeschooling programs, and then maybe even make a fusion of them. I would like to do that for this place, actually. You could share tools. You could start businesses, and you would all own your own property. And so therefore, if there's any conflict, which there will be among people, you don't have to figure out who to kick out of the community, or you don't have to fight over shared resources. People can be more on their own trip, because all you're really doing is just moving near each other. That's the easy way. You know, and you don't have to be off grid. I want to be off grid. I think it's better. I want to live in a very different way. So that would not fit with my needs. But I've even thought like for me, because it's such an issue to try and create this vision of a community and then implement it. Some people I like should just buy land near here. It's a good investment, this area. I picked it because it was great. I really like the people around here. I certainly don't want to disrupt the communities by inviting a ton of people unless they do share some values I care about, like not disrupting the local community, not poisoning the salad bar, you know. In other words, I want them to agree to some values simply because otherwise I won't really help them do it. You know, and they can still do it. I can't stop anyone from moving here, but I don't want to like ruin the town. The towns near me are really pretty cool. I like lots of attributes of them. There's not a lot of economic activity here, which is a big problem. So I would preferentially want to recruit people who are going to set up businesses that I kind of like. That have a culture that I think is valuable for the future. And so that might be the easy way to go, you know, where I just, and I don't say where I'm at on this channel, so don't ask. Because I want to be kind of picky still, even if I'm not in an intentional community with them. I don't want to be the guy who invited a bunch of assholes to come here. And I'm just really picky about that. So, but that's your easy way. You could do that in the middle of a big city. You could be on the grid. You could live a normal lifestyle and just be near people that you happen to like.